There's a very clear cadence at the international level with the United Nations that every 2 years you're going to get an update. For the US DOT, specifically Pipeline Hazmat Safety Administration, it's not always as clean as every 2 years on the date, but it is something that's kind of that rolling process that the regulators look at what happens from the international level. And keep in mind, the U.S. absolutely participates at these United Nations forums, so they're highly aware of any new proposals and new adoptions going into the regulations. So those are long established regulatory bodies that sort of make the regulations, and you kind of see how then it flows down to different transport modes and different countries around the world. And it's intended to be a harmonized system around the world to make the transport of dangerous goods not only safe, but to make it more efficient. So if you had regulations in the United States were wildly different than how they are in Brazil, that would be clearly a barrier to flow of goods. So we have the ongoing regulators, at the UN level, the subcommittee on the transport of dangerous goods that's, been formed for decades. Same concept with the individual country governments, of course, but when they do these initiatives, kind of these special scope, oftentimes they form the committee. The SAE G-27 is a good example. The committee was formed back in 2016, and I think typically we meet, there's a monthly conference call every month, but then there's also usually between 2 and 3 in-person meetings that are held around the world. The stakeholders can all get together in a room to advance the standard. Once it's approved in its final form by the committee, that standard would be published by SAE and ultimately would go up to the regulators for their consideration as to whether it should be adopted into any sort of regulation.